Hey folks, welcome to my channel or welcome back. My name is Kat. I'm a licensed registered dietitian, nutritionist, and online nutrition coach. And on this channel, we like to talk about weight inclusive focused approaches to health, as well as diving into scammy and, in my opinion, unethical nutrition related businesses, products, mostly nutrition related MLMs, and other fear mongering nutrition claims. In today's video, we are going to do something that I haven't done for several months, and that is just a reaction video. I have just kind of gathered a few stories that aren't necessarily, I think, enough to make their own individual video, but it's still some things that I want to talk about. So if that sounds good to you, let's go. All right, now the first one up, we're going to talk about Bob Duggar. This is not MLM related necessarily. This was actually something that was sent to me by a viewer, and so I just wanted to share some of my thoughts about it. So if you don't know, Bob Duggar, that is the dad. They are, you might have heard of, like 19 Kids and Counting. They had a couple other series with like different names on them, but the same family. Just up front, I'm not a fan of the Duggars. I've watched like a couple of episodes here and there. Wasn't something that I was interested in watching. There are just many concerns that I have about the parents, and more so recently they're about their oldest son, Josh Duggar. If you want binge-worthy content, I'll leave a couple of videos by Funny Fridays that really dives deeper into that family. So the father of the family, Bob, he went on this kind of bone broth fast, and it's a lot. So let's just go ahead. I'm gonna pull up the blog post and let's go through it. In mid-October, our family arrived at the annual Alert Academy Family Camp in Big Sandy, Texas. The camp has lots of fun activities for all ages, such as volleyball, pickleball, ultimate frisbee tournaments, archery, fishing, and a rodeo. Each evening is rounded out by a camp meeting and an inspiring message. We have been going to family events held in Big Sandy for many years, and we have had a wonderful time again this year. Sounds like a fun time. When we got back from Big Sandy, I stepped on the scale after eating a double Sonic cheeseburger and a large fry and drinking a large cherry limeade on the drive home. And to my shock, I weighed 232 pounds. This was the most I'd ever weighed. I'm fairly tall, just over 6 feet, but I wasn't in shape, and I knew this wasn't a healthy weight for me. Most of the pounds were right in front of me, hanging over my belt. So it just kind of starts off kind of abruptly. There's a lot of information there to unpack. I'm concerned about anybody just kind of stepping on the scale right after eating. I mean, he literally says after eating a double Sonic cheeseburger and large fry, drinking a large cherry limeade. That's a lot of sodium in there, which is going to like promote water retention. You're going to, after being away from the home for a while, a couple days at least at the camp, you're gonna probably be eating things that you're not really used to. So you also could have a little bit more like bloating going on. A lot of times when people are traveling or they're not eating what they normally eat, they'll have a little bit of constipation as well, and so they're going to see additional weight from that, even though it's not body composition change necessarily. So there are a lot of reasons why I would not recommend somebody to just weigh themselves right after traveling, but on top of that, right after eating a meal like what he ate. I would not make any kind of decisions right off the bat just from that number and like from that experience necessarily. But I mean, of course, he can do whatever he wants to do. This is just my opinion. Oh, let me kind of add that in. So in these videos, I'm just coming from a place giving my own opinion on things. I don't know everything. I don't claim to know everything. I don't claim to be perfect or anything like that. This is just my thoughts, and I just want to share them. And it's coming from a place of being a registered dietitian, if that matters to you. All right, let's continue. Over the past decade and a half, I've made some unhealthy food choices. We've traveled quite a bit as a family, and it was easy to eat a lot of fast food. While it was convenient, it wasn't good for me. When I would weigh myself at the end of each year, I'd have put on another pound or two. So that could mean a lot of things, just that quote, unhealthy food choices. So when I hear someone say unhealthy food choices, I need a little bit more information. And he does give a little bit more information that they were eating a lot of fast food. But just, I wanted to point out that unhealthy food choices, that could mean chronically under eating. Unhealthy food choices could also mean foods that you're allergic to that would not be healthy for you to consume. So like, just, I want to make it clear that unhealthy food choices does not equal, does not necessarily mean fast food. There could be lots of reasons why something is unhealthy for a person. Fast food places, I mean, that's something that I am not fully against. Like, if I want sometimes to eat at a fast food place, I will do that. No shame, no guilt or anything. But if that's your only food choice, and like with traveling consistently, and it's just kind of the only thing that's there and easily available, good price, things like that, I can understand how that can just become something that you might get tired of, and then also might not give you as much variety as far as micronutrient density. And so you can begin feeling the effects of that, potentially reduced intake of vegetables, fruits overall, if that is primarily what your like base is intake wise. And so you can start to feel maybe some of the effects of that over time, and maybe not feel maybe as energized or as best as you did before, or at times when maybe you aren't doing that much traveling. Also, fiber intake can be a little bit low in that kind of food generally. And that's just one of the reasons, not related to the Duggars, but just in general, one of the reasons why we do have conversations about food deserts and places where access to like more grocery stores or more produce in general, fiber rich foods, it is something that we need to talk about as far as like the availability of it and access to it overall. That's just a side note, but continuing on. Growing up, I had always been super skinny. I could eat about anything and everything and not gain any weight. It was about the time I got elected to be an Arkansas State representative in my early 30s that I went from being very active to sitting around a lot in various meetings and no longer burning the amounts of calories I was consuming. So just remember, skinny does not equal healthy. Just because someone is thin or skinny does not mean that they are any more healthy than someone at a higher weight. Just wanted to put that reminder out. Health is a lot more nuanced than black or white kind of things. All right, continuing on. I love all kinds of foods, how it smells, how it tastes, and the full feeling after eating a big meal. Of course, then topping it off with a big dessert. Plus, my wife and kids are excellent cooks, which makes it even harder. With more than 60 people in our family now, it seems like every week we are celebrating birthdays or anniversaries, and most of the time with cake and ice cream. I knew I liked food more than working to be fit. Those aren't mutually exclusive though. You can strive for fitness, you can really enjoy the fitness side of things, and also really love food. Yeah, so I just wanted to let you know that's not mutually exclusive. I have gone through seasons of trying to lose weight, but my schedule was busy and it was hard to be consistent. Food was comforting, especially if I was in the middle of a stressful situation. At times, I would work hard at dieting and exercise for a few weeks and lose a few pounds, but then I'd gain it back in 1 or 2 days. It was discouraging. So this is what we see happen normally. This is typically what happens in diets. This is something that we call diet cycling or yo-yo weight cycling, which can be because of diet cycling. So going on diets, off diets, on diets, off diets, and then seeing the weight in kind of a similar cycle of maybe losing some weight, gaining it back, potentially gaining back more, losing weight, and just kind of cycling through that. That is something that is stressful on the body and not something that really we want to see health-wise. Another reason why dieting typically is not a really healthy choice. After we got back from family camp, I mentioned to my wife Michelle that I felt I should probably fast from food for a few days. I had a few challenges outside of the numbers on the scale that I was working through. There were some important decisions that I needed to pray about, so I felt this would be good for me on many different levels, both spiritually and physically. Jesus taught some problems are only solved by prayer and fasting, Matthew 17:21. He then talks more about some of the benefits that he sees from doing a spiritual fast. I'm not really going to comment on that or anything, but just kind of focusing more so on the physical aspects of things and when he's talking about that side of things. Okay, so the morning of October 17th, I told Michelle that I was going to fast for a day or two, only drinking some Zip Fizz, which has natural green tea extract, vitamin B12, and other vitamins to help with hydration and energy. Michelle also asked if I would like to have some beef bone broth, not beef broth, but beef bone broth. Bone broth is made from boiling beef bones. I can't say that. That's hard to say fast. Beef broth is made from boiling beef bones, which extracts rich nutrients. I agreed, and this was the start of what I am now calling my bone broth fast. I discovered that beef bone broth, I don't know why that's so hard for me to say. It contains collagen and 36 grams of protein, and that it can satiate the appetite and make you feel full. So the 36 grams of protein, like what is a serving size for that? Because typically in 1 cup or 8 ounces of bone broth, beef bone broth, it's typically like 9 to 11, or you can just say 10 grams of protein per cup. So I don't know if he's just looking at like multiple cups in order to get to that 36 grams of protein. And when you're thinking about bone broth, you're thinking about like collagen, and that's not going to be a complete protein. You're going to have some really great amino acids in there, but not all of the amino acids that are essential, ones that we need to get from our diet. So it's not something that I would typically recommend for somebody to like be a primary source of protein. But he's correct as far as satiating goes, helping us to feel full. Protein in general, that's something, I think one of my favorite benefits of protein is just that feeling of satisfaction and kind of feeling more full. If I include protein in my meals along with carbohydrates and fats, I typically feel a little bit more satisfied than if I were to not have that protein in that meal. So continuing on, he says, I was only planning on doing this for 1 to 3 days, but after I got started, it was so easy that I decided to do it for 5 days, then 7 days, then 10 days, then 2 weeks, then 3 weeks, then 4 weeks, then 5 weeks. Now my end goal is 40 days. 40 days just drinking bone broth, beef bone broth. 2 weeks into my bone broth fast, Michelle joined me. We have both lost about 1 pound a day. By day 35, I had lost 35 pounds. That is not sustainable. That is truly concerning. He is not going to get all of the nutrients that he needs from just consuming that. And what he had mentioned previously is that he would go on other diets before where he would lose weight and then gain it back. What makes this different? What makes doing this different? Now he does say, he has this part of the blog was that I have no medical training. I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving medical advice. This is simply my own personal story of how I have lost weight. Please consult your doctor about what kind of weight loss program might be best for you based on your own health condition. So I am thankful that he included that, but a lot of times people don't really take that to heart, and they might see like, oh, this worked so well. My doctor recommends me a program where I'm just going to lose, X amount at a much slower rate, but I could do this kind of program instead and do it for 40 days or even 35 days and see potentially the same kind of weight loss. That is still harmful, even if you say that you're not that healthcare professional or doctor. I think there's still some harm to that, in my opinion. So he says, I am committed to making it through 40 days, even though the 40th day is the day after Thanksgiving. This will be my first time I have not eaten a meal on Thanksgiving Day. But by then, I believe I will have lost close to 40 pounds in 40 days. So he is writing this as he is fasting. He has not completed the fast. He is currently fasting. He was on day 35. All I have to say about this is I'm going to read Matthew 6:16 through 18. This is NIV version. When you fast, do not look somber as the hypocrites do, for they disfigure their faces to show others they are fasting. Truly I tell you, they have received their reward in full. But when you fast, put oil on your head and wash your face, so that it will not be obvious to others that you are fasting, but only to your Father who is unseen, and your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. So he then goes on to talk about that they purchase their bone broth from a grocery store, and it's essentially a liquid keto diet, as it puts the body in a fat burning ketosis. There can be side effects to this. I talked a little bit about the nutrient deficiency, but just kind of seeing this really quick weight loss and some of the concerns around rapid weight loss. One of them, for example, is that the liver can actually increase the amount or excrete the amount of cholesterol into the bile, which can increase risk for gallstones happening. That also, like, it's not necessarily the bone broth that was doing that for him, but more so the lack of total calories that he was consuming in. And so as soon as he starts to eat back to what he was doing, when he starts to eat food again, he's going to see that weight change again, and that is going to put more stress on the body. We don't want to intentionally promote this kind of weight cycling up and down. That's not health promoting. I mean, he's essentially starving himself for those 40 days, and that is not something that I would ever encourage someone to do. Psychologically, that could also trigger somebody into disordered eating and trigger them into an eating disorder. And so this is just not something that I would recommend somebody to follow through with. I do believe that talking about his experience in this way while he is still doing it and doing it in a positive way, talking about it, I see that as problematic. I see that as potentially causing harm. I do believe that writing this and sharing this when he knows that they do have a lot of followers and they have people who will try to be like them, to live their life like the Duggars. And so I just see the risk of putting out some kind of dieting plan or dieting program, a diet, and that just encouraging people to join in and do what he is doing. All right, so moving on to the next reaction. So this one is about the Young Living president. So the Young Living president, he was watching an LSU football game, and one of the players was down, looked like he potentially had cramps going on, and people came up to help him, of course, and they gave him something, a little pouch, like a little supplement. And the president of Young Living implied that what they were giving that player was their Young Living product, Ningxia Red, which is this antioxidant drink, when it actually, in reality, it was, or what we assume to be, Cramps Away Pro, which is a supplement that is third-party tested for use when athletes in general have cramps.
Burns is the guy down. Major Burns, the safety.
He struggled with it. It might be cramps. As you can see, they're giving him some liquid. You got to figure it's cramps in his leg. Yep, every time they hold that foot up like that, he's cramping. They're trying to release it, giving him some liquids, trying to get it to slow down a little bit. Ease up.
So he's going to come out.
I'm going to read what Mombi stated when she shared this information, where I heard about it. So Young Living's president, Ben Riley, is deceptively claiming that LSU football is using Ningxia Red on their players. When people called him out and informed him that it was actually a product called Cramps Away, he just deletes comments, limits comments, privates the video, and or blocks anti-MLM activists and consumer advocates. So he also shared on Facebook with a caption of, "You know what Ningxia Red is good for?" So implying that a specific product is being used when it is not is deceptive. When they're implying that it's being used for those cramps, that turns it in, that goes into the area of a health-related claim. And so tying both of those together, and the fact that he still has this up on his Instagram, but of course limiting comments on it, is concerning in my opinion. So as Mombi mentioned, comments did begin disappearing and people were blocked, but he did go ahead and make an update saying, "Update to all of my friends. I cannot confirm the product the student athlete is taking is Ningxia Red. It looks a lot like what I take every day for health reasons, so I assumed it was. Apparently, Young Living's Ningxia Red is not the only product which comes in a dark red sachet. It's just my favorite. So maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Either way, I love my Ningxia Red, and I know millions of others who do too. If you would like to know what else Ningxia Red is good for, check out the results of this clinical trial." You know, if he did kind of make an update and be like, I totally, you know, just thought it was Ningxia Red, but it's probably not. Sorry about that. I'm going to keep this up just so that if anybody comes to my page, they know that that is not the truth and we can kind of get this, you know, the correct information out. I could understand that. But that is not what he did. He was still talking about, well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. We don't really know. But let's look at that article that he referenced. So basically, it was a group of healthy adults in general, ages 18 through 60, and data was collected on day 1 and also day 60. They collected data using a physical health questionnaire. That physical health questionnaire measured 4 domains of health, including gastrointestinal health, headaches, sleep disturbance, and respiratory health. And then they also looked at the Jackson Symptom Scale, which is incidence, severity, and duration of upper respiratory infections during the trial. So the length of illness was shorter and the sleep duration improved in the supplement group versus the control group, but only the sleep, it was the one that was statistically significant. The sleep domain was the only domain to produce statistically significant improvement. And then as far as funding goes, and there's an understanding that, you know, somebody does have to pay for these kind of trials, especially when you're using a specific kind of product or have questions about a specific product, but it is just upfront. It's good to know funding, and it was funded by Young Living. So that was the research article that he was talking about, statistically significant in improving sleep domains. But take that info as you will. That whole post caused a lot of distributors to share that information and just kind of run with the fact that they were using Ningxia Red, Young Living products. I do believe it's something they should have double checked in on that before making those claims. Okay, next up, and I'm gonna try to go through this pretty quickly. Beachbody decided to rebrand and change their name. Carl Deichler, the CEO of Beachbody, he sent out an email, and so I just wanted to read that out, kind of give my thoughts on it. So he starts out the email with, "Can we start again, please? Since we launched the category of the in-home boot camp with Power 90 in 2000 under the flagship name Beachbody, things have changed. It's now become clear something is missing. Our industry has done a lot of good things, I'd argue more bad than good, but we're proud of everyone who took the initiative to get more active and be conscious of their food choices in the pursuit of completing any of our programs. We're proud of every transformation story and before and after picture. But we've come to realize that for many who achieve those success stories, including me, those short-term successes were often overshadowed by going right back to the same old habits." They're admitting Beachbody programs typically promote actions that last for a very specific short amount of time and doesn't set that person up for long-term health. Long-term healthy actions that promote health long-term. So they're basically admitting that that's something that we've talked about on this channel for multiple years now. Now, there's nothing wrong with the same old habits if that's the way you want to live and feel, unless you're constantly beating yourself up for those habits and live in a state of permanent dissatisfaction with yourself until you're pursuing the next transformation. And there's the problem. The flaw is not in the program or the approach. It's just missing the step of detaching our self-esteem from the outcome. No, there is a lot of flaw in the approach and a lot of flaw in the programs. I've done so many Beachbody videos, so many videos on Beachbody, including deep dives. I even followed the 21-day fix in one of those deep dives. I've done multiple interviews. I've done multiple reviews overall on things that have come out with Beachbody. I'll leave a lot of those linked down below too, but we've talked about those individual programs and the approaches and the concerns and problems within there. So it's not the idea or the concern of detaching our self-esteem from the outcome that is a problem. It is the program approaches that don't promote healthy, sustainable actions and are very much steeped into toxic diet cultural habits. Deep down, we all know that message is not true. You're not happy because you look good, you're happy when you feel good. And we don't like being manipulated by the promise that all that matters is how we look. They're one of the biggest reasons why that happens in the first place. If you're doing something and you're like leading people and encouraging people and just kind of promoting something to happen for them to kind of turn around and be like, the industry is doing this. Like, yes, but you are a big part of the reason why people are doing that in the first place. So many of us avoid fitness and nutrition altogether to avoid the mindset of permanent dissatisfaction. That's one of the reasons why, despite the growth of the industry, over 100 million people in the US alone are overweight or obese and vulnerable to lifestyle diseases like type 2 diabetes, heart disease, strokes, depression, and anxiety. As an industry and as a company focused on helping people lead healthy and fulfilling lives, if we perpetuate that mindset, we will fail. So they're saying that not separating yourself from the outcome and just kind of looking at how you look and not really thinking about how you feel, that is one of the reasons why if they perpetuate that mindset, we fail. Like, they are not mentioning any of the like bigger concerns of what is wrong with the health and fitness industry. They don't mention anything related to the social determinants of health and all of those factors that really play a larger role in the outcome of someone's health, more so than what diet and exercise program that they're doing. And so in my opinion, this is just showing like they don't really have that full understanding of what that looks like long-term true health, that whole health piece. And I mean, that's understandable when you look at who they have, who they're leaning on for their nutrition advice. People like Autumn Calabrese, who is not qualified based on what she has said herself in her education around nutrition or lack of it. I'm going to skip a little bit. They mention, and to do that, one of the changes we need to make is our name. We never intended for the name Beachbody to represent an ideal, but you did. You did. Beachbody, you did. You did that by all of the before and after pictures that you mentioned just right earlier in this email that you were proud of. You did by promoting the ideal outcomes of your program with those before and after pictures. Our mission has always been to help people achieve healthy, fulfilling lives, but society now uses the term differently. That Beachbody term typically was used to mean this kind of low body fat percentage. They continue on saying that there's no such thing as a beach body, except that everyone had a body and everybody's welcome at the beach. So rather than fight to overcome the perception that Beachbody equates to an ideal, we need to start again. The new term of Beachbody is now more inclusive. Like, everybody has a body, everybody can go to the beach. So it's interesting that they say that the society now uses that term differently, because they do use it differently now. It is used more in that inclusive way that everybody has a body, right? Everybody can be at the beach. So I don't know. It sounds kind of weird that they're saying like they're saying it like it's a bad thing. Society now uses the term differently, and so like if they fully did grasp that the way that society now uses that term differently, they wouldn't need to change their name because they're using it differently in a more inclusive way. See where that disconnect is? So over the course of the next 12 months, they'll transition from Beachbody to BODI, or like body with an I, not a Y, and they will integrate an entire layer of personal development and mindset content into the experience. So that is something that is already part typically of MLM, kind of on like more of the team building side of things. So that is not surprising that they would really be like focusing in on that area. They continue on down. Many exciting changes will come as we invite people to explore their fitness and nutrition through the lens of health esteem. And the simplest first step can be as fun as learning how you can eat more dessert and be proud of it without guilt or regret, truly. That sounds great, right? Hold on. He continues on. In fact, we'll show you how dessert can actually enhance your well-being with our gourmet superfood dessert recipes. So be proud of it because it's still healthified. It's a diet version of that dessert. So because it is healthified, you don't have to be guilty, or you don't have to feel guilt or regret. So it's still this kind of like dieting program. It's still very much steeped into that, and the fact that they are rebranding it, you know, it makes sense because people are becoming more aware of more weight inclusive focused approaches to health, but Also at the same time, one of the things that is an issue is that a lot of times like wellness culture can be very much just diet culture with like a sheet over it. Like I think of like Scooby-Doo, like wellness culture, and then you like pull it up and it's like diet culture underneath. And that's what I feel like this rebrand is, based on not just what we have seen come out of Beachbody, but also on this email itself and the description and how the CEO is talking about it. It still very much seems toxic diet culture. Okay, so this next one was also sent in to me by a viewer, and it is from a Modere rep. And they are talking about their collagen product. And so let's just go ahead and watch it and debunk what we can. So the question is, I use a powdered collagen. Is this different from the one you use? Or if so, how is it different?
The short answer is yes, but if you're like me and you want to know the why, I'm going to kind of break it down. So collagen is a very large molecule. It's very hard for our bodies to absorb it. You're not what you eat or what you...
So collagen is a large molecule, as she says, but it gets broken down into individual amino acids. And so it's not like your body is going to absorb the full like collagen piece. It is going to be broken down. So that wouldn't be like a reason in and of itself to choose their product over like a powdered collagen.
Take your what you absorb. So the BioCell, the liquid BioCell, has been proven by clinical studies that it will absorb 93%. Your body will absorb 93% of it, where powdered collagen, it's 15%.
Okay, so I have seen that claim from a lot of Modere distributors. So I actually emailed the company. So I said, hi, I am seeing that Modere's collagen is absorbed at 93% versus powdered collagen being absorbed at only 13 to 15%. Can you provide a reference for this? Thank you so much. And I even included my name and everything. They responded with, hello Kat, thank you for contacting Modere. I'm happy to help. So comparing Modere collagen to others, they say collagen is a nutritional ingredient that can be classified into several groups depending on its type, source, manufacturing process, and most common varieties of collagen are type 1, type 2. I've talked about this before on my channel. They're just kind of giving a background of what collagen is basically. They say type 1, it includes trendy bone broth supplements like what Jim Bob was consuming, but hydrolyzed, derived from skin, bovine hide, aka gelatin, eggshell membrane, and or fish. And then there's collagen type 2 made from chicken sternal cartilage. That's not the only place that it can come from, but undenatured and unhydrolyzed collagen matrix, a natural matrix of collagen, hyaluronic acid, and chondroitin sulfate, which is a liquid biocell together overall. They then continue on. The only liquid biocell offers all the following features: the industry awards, the patents on it, the sourced blend overall, the type of collagen, hyaluronic acid, and they also say it's been proven effective at taking 1 to 2 grams per serving, which is equivalent to the recommended serving size, the just 2 tablespoons of the liquid biocell per day. For comparison, the majority of hydrolyzed collagen supplements made from bovine, marine, or pig sources typically require a large daily serving of 10 to 20 grams, often delivered in a hefty scoop of powder, yet are not backed by the same proven studies. They continue on about like what the chickens are fed, how the collagen is extracted, things like that, but they don't actually answer my question specifically. It just felt like this kind of copy and paste thing, and I mean, you can see my email there. It's very short. It's not like they could miss that question. They just didn't respond to that piece at all. So I don't know where those numbers are that the distributor and other distributors are referencing. I don't know where that information came from, but I do think that they are referring to hydrolyzed collagen versus gelatin. So collagen and gelatin is collagen, but their chemical structure is going to be where the difference lies. So gelatin is essentially more broken down and therefore smaller in amino acid chains. So yes, it's going to be a little bit easier to digest just because you need less breakdown, but that doesn't mean that because you need less breakdown that your body's going to necessarily like use it more. It just means that those enzymes are going to be more like they're going to be utilized more. It doesn't mean like the outcome is going to be different necessarily. Your body is still going to break down those amino acids because those are typically already in a hydrolyzed form. They're already broken down. That's why when you see on a lot of collagen supplements, it'll say like collagen peptides on there. So like that collagen from collagen peptides from a hefty scoop of powder, that is going to be already broken down. It's not going to be like the collagen that you would get from like if you're getting this giant cut of beef like to make a roast. It's going to be hydrolyzed.
BioCell was formulated with the only natural occurring form in nature that actually mirrors the same way that our body's collagen and hyaluronic acid matrix is formed. In other words, your body thinks it's its own production of collagen when you're drinking this, and our bodies will always respond more to its own.
So she's, I think, referencing to the breakdown of the amino acids, but there is going to be that variety. I'm going to play a clip from my Modere deep dive. I'll have that link down below as well. I did talk about this specific product, and I think this will give a better explanation or a good explanation of what I think she's referring to. Because your body doesn't like think anything different. It is just going to break it down and use those individual amino acids in a way that it needs to use those individual amino acids. It's not going to like think that it's its own collagen.
Moving into collagen, because that is the other main ingredient in trim. Their collagen is liquid BioCell, and it's a proprietary chicken sternal cartilage extract. And so it's a type 2 type of collagen. Talking about collagen, it is what holds our bodies together, kind of like the glue for our bodies. It's found within the skin, bones, connective tissue, all over the body. It's technically not always considered a complete protein, meaning that it doesn't always include all of the essential amino acids that our bodies need that it cannot make on its own. So like another type of animal protein product would have that complete protein status because it provides us with all the essential amino acids. Sometimes, even though collagen is from an animal source, it won't have all of the essential amino acids, and that's because of the actual makeup of what collagen is. It can still be an option for supplementation for people if they did need to get, or if they wanted to get a little more protein or amino acids into their consumption wise into their diet, but it's not something that is necessary. It's not something that is just this like special one of a kind thing necessarily. So when you're talking about collagen, you're kind of thinking of these chains that repeat almost. So there's going to be glycine, hydroxyproline or proline, and then also another spot for any kind of amino acid, any type of amino acid that's going to generally be one of those essential amino acids. And it goes in those patterns. Now, what is in that extra spot or that spot X, whatever amino acid that is there, and all of the ones overall when you're looking at it as a whole, it's going to look a bit different whether it's coming from chicken or fish or beef. Each of those have a slightly different amino acid profile. And because collagen has so many jobs in our bodies, there are different types of collagen as well. We have type 1, type 2, type 3. Type 1 is generally the most prevalent in our bodies. It's going to be responsible or found in our skin, in our hair, in our tendons, in our bones, in our organs. So it's a variety of places. And then you have type 2, which is like the trim. That's going to be mostly part of cartilage. And then type 3, it is less prevalent, but it's going to be found like mostly in bones, like the bone marrow, and then other specific areas. You can find parts of it in skin or hair. So when supplementing, sometimes people will look at specifically what type that they're purchasing because they'll have different kind of recommendations for using them on the label. So types 1 and 3 are generally going to be found on ones that are focused on your hair, your nails, your skin, your bones. And then that type 2 is going to be more focused on that joint or cartilage health. Now, one of the concerns with collagen and why I don't say that somebody has to have it or anything is that it breaks down to those individual amino acids. And so just like if you were to have other sources of protein, animal source or not, when that body breaks down those amino acids or breaks down the protein into amino acids, those amino acids are going to go wherever the body needs them to go. And so it's not just because it's coming from collagen, it still breaks down into those individual amino acids. And it doesn't necessarily mean that because it comes from collagen that it's going to like find its way into where you are missing some collagen or anything. It's just going to be those same amino acid building blocks. And those building blocks can be used in various areas of your body. Or if you don't need it at that time, or you don't have enough glucose for whatever reason, it could use the amino acids. It can go through gluconeogenesis, or glucose new creation for Genesis, and make those amino acids into glucose. So it's just another source, a way to get in amino acids or protein, but it's not something that we need to have. And when we have it, it doesn't magically go to the places that we might need it to go. We'll talk more about the price as we wrap up the lean body system, but for the price, I would, if somebody really wanted to have collagen in their diet, I would encourage them to seek out maybe one from Vital Proteins, or even the Thrive Market one. Not Thrive, not talking about Lavelle, that's another MLM company, but actually Thrive Market, that online store.
We've also had scientific third-party clinical studies done on this that proved within 28 days your hyaluronic acid, which is the moisture in your skin, and your collagen will increase by 6,000%. Because they've had clinical studies, they're actually allowed to say that it will reduce fine lines and wrinkles, where most people can say it may reduce the appearance. Because of the clinical studies, they can say it actually will do that. And they have a 30-day money-back guarantee on all their products.
So I did find Modere has at least one article, a research article, and so they were using Modere's product. So you'll see on the ingredients label, it says liquid biocell, and then the article is talking about biocell collagen. So this was a 12-week study with 26 healthy females. So not a very big study, not for very long, but after those 12 weeks, they found that there was a reduction in skin dryness and scaling, and then also in the global lines and wrinkles. And that was measured through a visual and tactile score. They also mentioned that a controlled study is necessary to verify these observations. So I haven't found a controlled study from this to verify those observations. So if you have a distributor who is using this information and just kind of making it seem like it's this magical thing, then I would respond back with that, remind them of that. There was 2 authors on this article, and one of them at the time of the manuscript submission was an employee of BioCell Technology LLC. So just something to be aware of. Again, this was the only study I found on it, so that's interesting.
Okay, so it definitely feels like this story in particular is just kind of making things a little bit more exaggerated than it really is, and not giving the full picture. All right, so that wraps it up for the last reaction video for this year. I am super excited about next year. I've been trying to be a little bit more consistent with videos as this year has progressed, and so I'm just happy to be here. I am so thankful for every single one of you for giving me even any time of your day to just watch some of my videos. I really appreciate it. So if you have not liked this video already, please consider liking, and if you're not subscribed, please consider doing that as well. And that's it for this video. Remember, oh, I forgot. I have new merch, these stickers right there. This one says food is neutral, and this one over here is inspired by coconut. There it goes. It says toe beans, not pyramid schemes. So these will be linked down below in the description. Get yours. They're super cute. I really like how those turned out. All right, that's it. Remember, you can strive for health without subscribing to diet culture. I'll see you later. Bye.